Hi, you join me today at Hexagon Classics, which is one of the UK's largest classic car dealerships based in Highgate in North London. If you're anything like me and you love classic cars, then this is something really special. They've got Aston Martins, E-Types, all sorts of Porsches. Yeah, the list just goes on. I'm like a kid in a sweet shop at the moment, so come with me and I'll show you around.
An idea that I wanted to get into Formula One.
So I'm joined today by Paul Michaels, who's the chairman here at Hexagon Classics. Thanks for joining me, Paul.
Pleasure.
And we've also got Aston, the deputy chairman, who will be taking part in the interview as well. So, hello, Aston. No, not keen.
No.
Good stuff. So you've been going since 1963 as a business.
63,
Paul?
September.
September.
Yep.
Could you tell me a bit more about the history of the company?
Well, starting at the very beginning,
Yeah.
when I was born, my first word was car. So I kind of knew where I was heading.
It was meant to be.
And I went to engineering college, all that kind of shenanigans. And I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't an engineer.
Yeah.
Better I stuck to doing what I wanted to do, which was sell cars. So then it all started. I got a garage in Daleham Mews in Hampstead, and number 7. And eventually ended up with 4 Mews garages
Right.
in Hampstead.
What was the first car you sold?
God, it was a white E-Type fixed head,
Wow.
1962, I think it was.
Okay, so that would have been not a V12.
No, 6-cylinder fixed
Okay.
head.
Yeah.
I can remember the day that E-Types were launched, and I thought, wow,
And that would have been the Geneva Motor Show
in 61. Yeah.
61. Okay.
So
And they
anyway,
actually drove it there.
no, this was our car, and we had it up
Oh, but
for sale.
I mean, for the Geneva Motor Show, I believe they drove it from the UK
Yeah, to there.
to Geneva. Yeah.
But I can't remember whether that was the white fixed head or if that was I think that was a British Racing Green
Okay. Well.
Roadster,
Yeah.
which would have been an outside bonnet lock car very early, which ironically we're restoring one at the
Oh,
moment.
right. Okay.
But anyway, so after I had 4, we'd been there about thick end of 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Somebody told me there was a garage in Highgate where the owners were going skint,
Okay.
and I could probably buy it. So off I went, bought that. That was in North Hill in Highgate.
Right.
And we stayed there till early 90s, mid 90s. And then somebody mentioned that this was coming up for sale wherever we now are. So I went and negotiated a deal for this. And the rest, as they say, is history. We're still here.
Yeah. It's a tremendous site, and obviously it's changed massively over the years in terms of what you've got next door with the engine rooms.
Yeah,
All
it's
in
evolved
Yeah.
for lots of reasons. We were given no option but to stop BMW
Right.
because they wanted to change the way they sold cars. So in 2014, I gave the people here a 2-year lease while we moved up to Linton.
Right.
And after 2 years, they moved out and we came back.
Okay.
And then we started doing it up. My late wife was an interior designer, so we sort of let rip. Out went BMW and in came us.
And you can see it's fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of art, as you can see,
Yeah.
because I've always been very much an art lover. And the place has got a lovely atmosphere.
It really
which
does.
is-
And I feel like, these are the cars that I used to have on my bedroom wall when I was a kid. So,
Well, that's the idea.
So I feel like
Yeah.
a schoolboy at the moment, it's like
That's
going
where
back in
I
time.
say that's where I started with them.
Yeah.
It was a, it was a challenge coming back, but we realised that my wife and I, we realised we were going to have to do something. It was too big a site just for classic cars, and that's how the idea of the restaurant and the event space came up. Unfortunately, the restaurant was in the middle of COVID and staff issues were beyond belief. So I stuck it for a year, and after a year I just decided this couldn't go on. But we kept the event space going, and I've got a very good young lady who runs that for me, and that's becoming quite successful.
Yeah,
and it's a lovely place to have. You can have up to 300 people, so it gives you plenty of options, from a 30-seat private dining room through to the real McGoy.
Fantastic.
So that's it.
It's a real success story.
Not necessarily success, it's an evolution.
Okay. It's fair. Brilliant. So just in terms of going back to the car side of things, I understand that Hexagon was involved in motorsports competitively. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Again, when I started in selling cars, I had an idea that I wanted to get into Formula One. An idea that I wanted to get into Formula One. An idea that I wanted to get into Formula One, but I learned pretty early on that it wasn't going to be me driving, and I was very lucky through a guy called Tony Brown, who was involved with Bernie Ecclestone. They sold me a Formula One car, and it came with John Watson as the driver. So that was an opportunity which I took, and we did our first race at Brands Hatch in what that would have been 1973.
Okay.
And much to my surprise, we came sixth. So John was definitely the bee's knees as far as drivers concerned. And from there, it evolved. I agreed with Bernie that I'd run a Brabham with John driving, and we had a very, very successful season. We were the most successful privateer, as we were known in those days, and we got 6 points, which was unheard of.
Right.
And the most important one was 1 point at Monte Carlo.
Okay.
And
Fantastic.
The funny story was we didn't expect it. And if you're in the points at Monte Carlo, you get invited to the palace for a dinner. And of course, we didn't have a dress suit. So John and I panicked, and we were asking everybody who we knew in Monaco, where can we get a suit? And someone says, oh, I know the man who has got a rental shop in the middle of town. So we got in touch with him, and he came and loaned us 2 black tie suits. So that was nice.
Fantastic. How was the palace?
Can I say I can't really remember?
Well, you know,
I was a bit
if
gobsmacked
you can
by the
remember,
whole
you weren't
thing.
there, right?
Yeah, that's it. So no, it was a really nice thing.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Just in terms of, you know, we touched about on the first car that you sold. What's the favourite that you?
Oh, it's always been E-types.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it was the car I had on my wall, and it's that I've got an E-type done by Eagle Engineering at the moment, which I've had since 1999, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And is that a fixed head?
No, it's a Roadster.
Okay.
It had to be dark green.
Yeah. British Racing Green.
Yeah. And I knew Henry Pearman, who was the boss of Eagle. I told him what I wanted, and it was going to be 5 to 6 years to build an Eagle. And I said, no, I didn't want to wait that long. And he said, funny, I've just taken in a restored, we didn't restore it, but a restored E-type Roadster in British Racing Green. He said, I'll upgrade it for you. So it took him about 1.5 years. He upgraded it to Eagle spec, and I've had it ever since.
It was meant to be, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Lovely, lovely car.
Wonderful. You've got a beautiful blue E-type over there, which I was looking at.
An amazing car.
Yeah.
Came from New Zealand.
Okay.
And it's genuine 10,000 miles.
Yeah.
And basically, New Zealand doesn't have wet roads.
Right.
So the car is totally original,
bet.
even smells original,
Is it?
which is quite unbelievable because you can't get the leather anymore that they used to build them with. So
Right.
it's a really lovely car. But
Beautiful. I like them in primrose yellow.
that's my least favourite
Oh, is
colour. Yeah.
There was
I don't
a
know what
friend
it
of my
is.
dad's had one when I was a boy.
Oh,
and,
there were a lot of primrose yellow E-types, yeah.
You don't
But
really see
these
them
days,
honestly,
yellow's
but-
not quite so fashionable.
Yeah, red's good as well.
Red's always traditionally, but traditionally it's a Ferrari colour, so it doesn't quite carry the same
No.
thing on a Jaguar.
But obviously we've got a few Ferraris down there. 328, I think, at the front.
Yeah, 328 Spider.
And what's the one behind it?
Sorry, what you...
The one just put there.
Oh, that's a BB, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not quite so keen on mid-engines. My
Right.
favourite's always been front engines.
Right.
And that was what Ferrari did. And
Yeah.
the last car Ferrari really ever was involved in was a Daytona,
Okay.
which was the ultimate front engined.
Oh, that's a fantastic looking car.
ah.
I mean, it's,
I do not understand why it's not more valuable. Makes no sense. They built around 1,000 of them. It was the first road car to do 170 miles an hour. And I promise you, I tried it out. It does 170 miles an hour. In those days,
On a private road,
there
obviously.
wasn't a speed limit, so it was slightly different. But and I had Daytonas for about 2 or 3 years.
Right.
They were just wonderful cars. Ironically, the only thing you could complain about was the steering was unbelievably heavy.
Really?
But now you can get electric power steering,
okay, yeah.
and it cuts out at 30 miles an hour.
Right.
So where you need it to be assisted
You're
around
not
town,
Doing that.
all of that goes out the window. So
Yeah.
I wish I'd have had it in period.
Yeah, I bet. What's your favourite mark?
Favourite?
Mark? Favourite make?
It's a battle between Ferrari and Jaguar.
Yeah, okay.
And BMW comes third for obvious
Okay.
reasons.
I mean, they're just so reliable, aren't
Yeah, but BM's,
they? And well built.
yeah, they're, if you like, typical German, very efficient, and they do the job they were designed to do, and they always have done.
Yeah,
But
fantastic.
in terms of my favoritism, so like a lot of things, you don't take efficiency into account,
No, it's
unless,
passion,
of course,
isn't
you
it?
want to drive it, and I
Right,
drive
yeah.
a BMW. So. And I was very lucky through a guy called Tony Brown, who was involved with Bernie Ecclestone. They sold me a Formula One car, and it came with John Watson as the driver. Had a very, very successful season. We were the most successful privateer, as we were known in those days, and we got 6 points, which was unheard of.
Right.
And the most important one was 1 point at Monte Carlo.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for speaking to me today, Paul. Really appreciate it. I'm absolutely loving being here, and yeah, it's as I say, I feel like a schoolboy again.
Well,
looking at
that's
all
the
these-
idea. Yep.
These cars. So, just last question for you. We've talked about your first car, your favourite car. Beyond the E-Type, what's your favourite car in the showroom at the moment?
In the showroom, one behind you,
Oh,
the
fantastic.
Z8.
Okay.
And the Z8.
Could you show me around it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, perfect.
The Z8, let me just give you a little bit of the history. BMW knew they were going to buy Rolls-Royce,
Okay.
and they wanted to understand hand-built. And that was hand-built,
Okay.
made of aluminium,
Yeah.
and they built just over 5,000 of them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was an argument between the marketing department and the design department,
Right.
and they launched the car on run-flat tyres.
Okay.
Huge mistake,
Right.
because it was never designed. So it got a really bad reception from the press, saying the car doesn't handle and all this kind of thing. All you needed to do was put it onto radial plies,
Oh, really?
transform the car, because that's how it had been designed to run
yeah.
on radial ply. And then a couple of small mods, BMW designed a crossbar at the front, because it tended to flex a bit.
Right.
And that was put on, and then there was an upgrade for the gearbox.
Yeah.
You do those three things, and you've got an amazing car.
Fantastic.
Really
Can
amazing.
Can we take a look?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I remember this as being the James Bond car, Pierce
Yes.
Brosnan era, isn't it?
Yep. They were an emotional product
Right.
from BMW's perspective, from our perspective. Unfortunately, as I say, when they got launched, they got a bad reception.
Yeah.
But that's all gone now. People realise that was just a moment in time. So we were the top seller of Z8s in the UK because they didn't bring many in.
Right.
And because I loved them, we always had a new one or a used one
Yeah.
around. And we actually rather stupidly did convert one to right-hand drive, but only
Did you?
one.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Never again.
I don't know what happened with that. It went. But other than that, they're all left-hand drive. But they're such a beautifully built car. It's got all the German input into it,
Yeah.
with a bit of the je ne sais quoi of the UK.
Right.
So I say doors, everything, all fits, all works.
And
it's just,
stylistically, I can see why you like it as well, because it is a little bit reminiscent of the E-Type.
yeah,
You know, certainly in the rear.
front engined,
Yeah.
you know, evolution. Yeah, if you'd have said it was designed by Jaguar, no one would argue.
No, no, absolutely not. It's stunning. It's just very special, isn't it? I love the vents on the side.
Everything's perfection.
Yeah.
And as I say, I do not understand. There were, of the 5,700, I think they made about 3,200 were American spec,
Right.
which wasn't as good.
Okay.
So the ones that are valuable are the European
Yeah, yeah.
cars. And then Alpina made a very small number of them, which was automatic with
yeah.
an Alpina
Oh, really?
engine,
Yeah.
and they're valuable as well.
Is that quite typical for Alpina? I thought they tended to be, because they're sporting.
Don't quite know why, but for
Yeah.
some reason they decided to,
Okay,
because
so
there
they
was
were
manual
classics.
from the factory, so they thought they were
Right.
doing an automatic.
Okay, so yeah, just something a
Yeah.
bit different. That's fantastic. I can see why you like it. I mean, it's stunning.
But if you look at everything, the gaps, it's a perfection.
Is it? Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is.
Yeah, you've got the eye for it. I mean, I just see the overall picture, but you've been doing it for...
Well, about 70% of them are silver,
Right, okay, yeah.
and a very tiny number are black.
Yeah, it
And
looks
to
great in
me, black is
It's the colour.
the colour. Yeah.
Fantastic. Paul, thank you so much. Really appreciate your
Good.
time today. It's been
Okay.
a pleasure. And I'm just going to take a look around.
Yeah.
Probably
Do
stay
make
till
yourself
about
at
6
home.
o'clock tonight, if that's
Oh,
all right.
right. Yeah. We can take pictures of the cars on the
And
walls.
I've got an order for the 911 there, and I'm thinking about the E-Type as well, so
Oh, right.
we'll see.
Yeah.